Hey guys, Bios and Ramos. This Sunday, October 1st. Yes, I know, October. The time is flying by. October 1st, 1 p.m. kickoff against the Buffalo Bills. The game will be broadcasted on CBS. A lot of stations across the country are trying to get this game to be on their CBS affiliate. And I don't blame them. It's probably going to be the game of the week across all of the big matchups that are going on. It's probably the one that has a lot of the most implications. But I wouldn't, belittle a couple of ones like similar to like Baltimore and Cleveland and other big divisional matchups. But needless to say, let's talk about some gambling odds real quick before we talk about other stuff. Spread is set at -2.5 in favor of Buffalo Bills. They're also favored on the money line, -155. Meanwhile, Dolphins have a +130 on the money line, and then over/under set at 53.5. On top of that, let's talk about ESPN's matchup predictor. They have the Dolphins favored to win 51.0% to Buffalo's 48.6%. Game will be played at Highmark Stadium. Around kickoff, the weather will be 62 degrees with a slight overcast, but it will be sunny. And then aside from that, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be one of the better games of the season for both teams, and it's going to probably be the one that is the most impactful. Right now, Dolphins sit on top of the division, 3-0. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills are currently 2-1, and a win for them would propel them to 1 in the division and probably one of the top teams in the entire AFC. So that's going to be a big thing for the Buffalo Bills. But for the Miami Dolphins, this will be a prove-it game. They were able to beat Buffalo and Miami by a very slim margin. They lost to Buffalo in a close fashion with Tua healthy as well in that game, in the Saturday night game, the snow game, the notorious snow game where the fans were pelting the Dolphins with snowballs. And then the divisional matchup last year in the playoffs where the Dolphins were able to come back and with the lead of Skylar Thompson of all people. But either way, let's talk about some injuries, and then we'll talk about how the Miami Dolphins come in this game. So when we start off injuries, not going to go too deep. If anyone hasn't been adjusted in terms of their injuries since the last week, I'm not going to mention them unless we're talking about the Buffalo Bills, since we haven't talked about them. But Deshaun Elliott, safety, is questionable with a ankle injury. Teron Armstead, offensive tackle, questionable with a back injury. Connor Williams, guard, questionable with a groin injury. Savon Ahmed, running back, questionable with a groin injury. And then guys who are confirmed out for this game is Eric Luzama, wide receiver, has a neck injury. River Craycraft put on injured reserve with a shoulder injury. And then Jalen Phillips, linebacker, is out with an oblique injury, which is very unfortunate. This was probably going to be one of the bigger years so far in Jalen Phillips' career. And it hasn't worked out so well in terms of the health status. He was able to suit up for the Broncos game, but I guess he must have re-aggravated the injury. And it's very unfortunate because he was probably going to be on pace to have one of the better career seasons so far that he's had. Aside from that, let's go to the Buffalo Bills. Linebacker Von Miller is listed as out with a knee injury, still recovering from his torn ACL, and timetable is supposed to have him, possibly coming, making a comeback soon. But as far as my knowledge, I don't follow those all too close. He's expected to return sometime soon. It's almost been almost a full year since his injury has happened. Jordan Poyer, safety, is listed as out with a knee injury. Then they have Braylon Spector, but this was reported in August 30th, so all the rest of these injuries were pre-training camp injuries, so on and so forth. Braylon Spector, linebacker, injured reserve, hamstring injury. Justin Shorter, wide receiver, on injured reserve with a hamstring injury. Tommy Doyle, offensive tackle, injured reserve with a torn ACL in his right knee. And then AJ Espinoza, defensive end, out with an ankle injury, and that was reported November 28th of last year. So either someone needs to update it or this guy needs to really, really check out his ankle. Either way, hope for all good help for him. Guys, there's a big elephant in the room. Do you see it? Do you know what it is? It's how the Miami Dolphins will win this game. Last week, the Dolphins had an immense, I don't even know if I find the word to explain it. It was one of the biggest performances I've ever seen, not only from the Dolphins, but just in the NFL since I've been alive. And aside from that Kansas City LA Rams game where both teams were going back and forth and they both scored 50 points, aside from that, that was probably one of the biggest offensive outputs I've ever seen, especially from one team. So I'm pretty sure they put a lot of stuff on tape and really driving Buffalo crazy on the defensive side. But I'm telling you right now, half of the plays, I think a third or not even less, like 1/16 of the plays that they ran, they're probably going to run on Sunday. I think Dolphins are installing an entirely new package. They're not even leaving anything up for doubt with allowing the Buffalo Bills to scheme up some ways to stop them. Something that Dolphins will keep consistent in their offensive packages is motioning. Dolphins have the most motions in the entire NFL. They have a lot of offensive things in the NFL, and that's including yards per game, rush and passing, both sides per game. So those are big things. Something I want to see get tightened up is the defensive side of the ball. Dolphins did limit the Denver Broncos to 20 points last week, but they really didn't limit their offense in terms of moving. But they did force a lot of turnovers, and that was a big key. And also, understand, you're playing with a big lead. You can afford to, not take a play off or be so nonchalant about it, but definitely you can afford to slack off on some plays and allow certain things and just kind of play like bend but don't break defense, which for some teams it works. I want to see this defense dominate, because once you start seeing that and the Dolphins offense start firing on all cylinders, this team will be taken to another stratosphere if they could reach that potential, and that would be something absolutely absurd. But yeah, the Bills started off the season rough, losing to the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers, which is a little bit of a shocker. They did lose on a punt return in OT, but it is what it is. This Bills losing OT, that's nothing new. But anyways, how can the Miami Dolphins win this game? You got to have another balanced attack. I mean, last week you couldn't get any more balance than that, having 500 yards. Not 500, my apologies. 300 plus yards on either side of the offensive attack with running and passing. But yeah, just having a balanced attack. You don't want to get too one-sided. You don't want to run the ball excessively, and you don't want to pass the ball excessively. You want to have a good, fine balance. And Dolphins were one of the leaders in terms of percentage of play-action plays last year. And guess what? The run game benefits off of the passing game and vice versa. And that play style is definitely beneficial in that sense. Motioning is huge, so just be on the lookout for that for the Miami Dolphins this game. In terms of defense, I would love nothing more to see the Dolphins get 3 or more sacks against Josh Allen. I know it's asking a lot because he's a big guy. He's hard to bring down. On top of that, he likes to extend plays and go past the line of scrimmage, get some yardage. Try to truck a guy, hurdle a guy, just do anything he can to either extend the drive or put his team in a position to score. So if Dolphins can limit that they can keep the score down. But this defense isn't 100% where they are expecting to be, where they probably should be. But when it's all said and done, I think they have big potential this week to prove themselves and take that next step in becoming a good defense. Last week they showed it with having a lot of takeaways. This week I want to see it more so with limiting a team's offense, getting the quarterback down. That would be absolutely amazing. And last but not least, would love to see a signing. So the Dolphins listed 2 of their young wide receivers, River Craycraft and Eric Uzama, on either out or on injured reserve, and saw someone tweet that they should bring Jarvis Landry back. I would love to see him in this offense, but I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. But in all seriousness, last but not least, I want to see an explosive special teams play. Dolphins really let their talking go from the offensive side of the ball. So having a different facet of the game, whether it's the defense, getting sacks, forcing turnovers, whatever it may be, or I want to see a big special team play. It doesn't have to be a touchdown, but a good 30-yard return, something like that, just to get the things flowing for them and set up shop at a way better position than normal. That would be cool. But that's not necessarily nitpicking and saying that they're bad. But aside from that, I don't want to hold you guys too long. It's game preview. Really hoping the Miami Dolphins can win this one. I picked them on the game picks to win that. Also, if you haven't checked that out yet, check it out. I mean, coming out with content almost every day between game picks, vlogs if the Dolphins are at home. I'm going to see if I'm going to do some away vlogs in terms of at home or what I'm doing when I'm watching the Dolphins when they're on the road. And then aside from that, shorts of the game picks, those have been really fun to make. So I hope you guys can check those out. That would be cool. But aside from that, Dolphins are hopefully going to win this game, improve to 4-0. That would be very, very sweet. But I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if the Buffalo Bills come out with a win here. But if that's the case, I hope it's a close win and nothing crazy that makes the Dolphins look bad. Because you embarrassed the team last week, you don't want to be on the receiving end of that the following week, especially against a divisional opponent like Buffalo Bills, a team that you're going to be competing with all throughout the season for the top seed in terms of the AFC East. And then on top of that, just AFC supremacy, possibly Super Bowl chances. If the Miami Dolphins end up playing the Bills 3 times again this year, man, oh man, get your popcorn ready for each and every time they play. I'm excited. I can't wait. This is a huge divisional matchup. And before I keep on rambling, I'm just going to let you guys go. If you stayed this far, really appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.